Alright, hello there ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the GSL Code A. I am Moletrap casting here on the secondary stream for the GSL, and if you guys are not familiar with the format, we have so many matches for the first couple rounds of Code A that we are doubling them up on 2 different streams, so you can watch more than one stream at once if you'd like. You can actually go to your GOM player settings, go to F5 to go access the settings, and make sure that you've selected that you can have more than one GOM player, and you can actually watch both streams at once. So I'm going to be doing half the games today by myself, and of course Wolf and Doa are going to be on the other stream casting the other half of the games today on the primary stream, I guess you could call it, and I'll be doing the observing and casting here from the offices of GOMTV at a secondary studio. So hope you guys are settled in for a good night of Starcraft. We're going to have a lot of great games today, and the first match on this stream is going to be SuperNova versus Vines. In case you guys were looking at the schedule and you're not sure which matches were which, if you're looking at m.gomtv.net, which is where you can check out the schedule, the matches that are going to be on this stream are the ones that are labeled as being at such and such o'clock 05. So those are the ones that are going to be on this stream. They're labeled as 5 minutes later than on the other stream, just for the sake of it. So we're going to have SuperNova versus Vines, Monster versus Juke2, Xenio versus Mujuk, and Bomber versus Hope Torture, or Rainbow as you might know him as well. And so we got some really good matches here coming up for you. It's going to be awesome. You can, if you guys watched MLG this weekend, you might be familiar with watching more than one stream at once. I know I had my quad view on, actually watching MLG all weekend, watching 3 or sometimes 4 different games of Starcraft at the same time, which is actually a little bit hard to follow, so luckily you guys just have 2 streams to watch today if you want to watch both of them, or of course you can just switch back and forth if you prefer as well, depending on which players you like or what have you. So SuperNova versus Vines is going to be the first matchup here today, and I'm actually looking forward to it, because SuperNova has been playing outstandingly lately in a lot of tournaments. He did really well in the Arena of Legends, did extremely well in WCG Korea, and he's just been playing at a very high level, and he's actually been playing at a high level for a long time. I mean, he came up through Code A a while ago, a few seasons ago, and hasn't really, you know, gotten far in Code S or anything like that, but he's been playing really well. Unfortunately for SuperNova, he looked really, I guess, weaker than usual in his Code S group, and so he actually ended up getting out of Code S and is down here in the second round of Code A, and so that's going to be really interesting to see how he does here in Code A. His opponent is going to be a person by the name of Vines, who's on the team OGS, and Vines is, well, we haven't seen much of him. We saw him in Open Season 3, actually, and we haven't seen much of him since then, so we're going to find out if he has improved his skills or not since then. We're going to get game number 1 started here at the GSL Code A. And over here at the right-hand side of the map, Antigua Shipyard, is none other than the player I was just referring to. It is OGS Vines. And over here at the left side of the map is another player from the team OGS. He has a lot more experience, and can he use it to defeat his teammate? It is OGS SuperNova. So we're going to have a Protoss versus Terran. This is a team kill match. Only one player can advance. Unfortunately, someone's going to have to eliminate their teammate here if they're going to advance. And we're going to find out here pretty soon what both players are up to. Now, I want to mention again about Vines. You know, we haven't seen him since Open Season 3. He actually played Sen in Open Season 3 and was eliminated by Sen. And Sen is actually, you know, one of the best Zergs outside of Korea. He is so good, it is ridiculous. And so there's no real shame in getting eliminated by Sen, even though he is technically a non-Korean. And, you know, oftentimes if someone gets eliminated by a non-Korean, it's considered to be, you know, not as, it's considered to be bad, I guess, because the general skill level is lower. But I think that Sen is definitely an exception. And you know what? These days, you can't really say that, can you? I mean, there's the top competitors for outside of Korea have gotten to a level where they're actually competing. Again, if you didn't watch MLG, you need to go back and watch MLG, because that tournament was absolutely fantastic. And you saw a lot of top Koreans and a lot of top non-Koreans competing against each other side by side, and there was no bias where you were always expecting the Korean to win or anything like that. It was very, very close. I won't spoil that for you in case you haven't watched it, but it was absolutely amazing tournament. But anyway, so we do have a scout going in here by Vines. He's going to go ahead and scout what SuperNova is up to, and he did not see that gas. He actually left before seeing that gas, wanted to get his probe out alive instead of spotting the gas. So that is kind of interesting. He might be expecting just a 1-Rax expand, and in fact, SuperNova has put down 2 gas. He's got 2 refineries going on, and Vines has no idea, but the SCV is going to get it as well. That probe just kind of failed, and, oh, never mind. Well, he didn't fail. He was succeeded at putting down the Nexus, but Vines is going to go ahead and expand, because remember, he thinks that SuperNova is going for a fast expansion. So he's like, alright, well, you're 1-Rax expanding, I'll go ahead and do the same, and go one gateway expand with just my core. Now, SuperNova is getting a lot of gas in there. There's the factory. He's producing the factory right now, and as probably, I imagine, going to follow this up with a starport, because he's getting so much gas in the bank from these 2 early refineries that I cannot imagine what else he might be using the gas for. Hey, look at this. He's putting down a bunker as well. I really like this move. What this is going to do is it's going to fake him out. He's going to have a bunker at this front ramp. If Vines comes up and scouts this, he's going to think, oh, okay, well, you want to protect your expansion from early pressure, so therefore you're definitely expanding here. And he's going to get caught off guard by probably some Banshees. We're going to find out pretty soon. It could be something else, I guess, but it's most likely going to be Banshees based on the amount of gas he's got saved up. Yeah, he's starting to save up a lot of gas, and are we going to see the starport? We're seeing the starport being proxied. Wow, this is going to catch Vines way off guard. He has, as you can see up here, a total of 1 sentry. That is his anti-air right now, and he is making a 2nd sentry, but he's trying to get his sentries early. He's not expecting any early pressure at all. Now, of course, SuperNova has gone ahead and expanded off of this, but it's going to be a much later expansion. Now, that is the one thing that Vines has going for him, is he's got his expansion up relatively early, and oh, there he is. He's getting a robotics facility as well. So if he had, I'm almost certain he's going to get Cloak once this tech lab finishes, because he's got so much gas in the bank. If he doesn't get Cloak, it's going to be really bad, actually. And so he's definitely going to get Cloak, and Vines is going to be a little prepared for that. He's going to be able to get an observer out basically by the time that Cloak finishes. There's the Cloak right now, and so this is going to be pretty good for Vines. Now, again, it just comes down to the fact that he doesn't have any anti-air. He's got 2 sentries, 3 warp gates just finishing. What is he going to produce with those warp gates? And he makes more sentries. Sentries do not stand up very well at all to Banshees. Now, of course, the Banshees just do so much damage, and primarily the main thing is that sentries just don't do very much damage. So yeah, he's going to be able to deal with that pretty easily, because there's not going to be any anti-air. There's Cloak going on. This Banshee is rallying off to the side. He's not going to go in the first Banshee. He's probably going to either wait for 2 or wait for Cloak. And there is a Twilight Council being produced as well. So he's using his gas. There we have an observer. He does have, you know, all 6 of his units can hit the air at least, but it's going to be close. Now, he does have 3 warp gates. If he makes a warp in of Zealots or something like that, it's probably going to be Stalkers, but point being, if he has a warp in, he can warp in 3 Stalkers, he might be okay. He does have the observer, but it is en route to SuperNova's base. It is not going to be there. And here we have the first Banshee coming in to Vines' expansion, I'm sorry, his mineral line. He's going to go to work on the probes. Banshee with 2 kills already. Oh, warping a Stalker right underneath it, takes some damage. There's the Cloak. He is chrono boosting out another observer, but it's not going to be here for a little while. No, actually, it's almost finished. So he's going to be able to run around the back here. He has to have 2 Forges warping in as well. Going to work on those probes. That Banshee has 7 kills, and it is going to get forced out. Oh, is it going to be too close to these Stalkers? No, it's not. Whoa, he's turning back in, actually trying to get some more kills. And he's probably, yes, he's attacking the front, the back of the base at the same time. So Banshee in both places, and he only has the one observer there. He's trying to get out another observer, but this Banshee is not really actually doing anything. He's only got 2 kills. Those last couple of probes that were on gas. Runs out of energy regardless, and I wonder what damage it's going to do. It doesn't look like it's going to do anything. Vines is pretty much just ignoring it right now. Now he's finally bringing in Stalkers, and he's actually bringing a couple probes in to die as well. He says, you know what? I feel bad for that Banshee. It only got 2 kills, whereas the other Banshee, man, it got 10 kills. You know, I need to make sure that it gets some even kills, because if it goes home and it's like, you know, the other Banshee got 10 kills and it goes home with only 3, you know it's gonna get fired. So Vine's doing a little bit of service there, trying to help out his opponent's Banshee. Anyway, Observer camping outside the base now, and of course we do have SuperNova. I haven't checked his base in a while, but he is getting his upgrades going on now as well. Vines has that double forge upgrading armor and weapons right now, but SuperNova's been just behind this. He's just gotten his expansion up, he's gotten his tech going, and oh, that's kind of funny. Those SCVs are on follow for that Banshee. I guess he was repairing it. I'm curious if those SCVs are actually going to try and run out the front door or not. And they are going to follow that Banshee all the way out into the battlefield. That's going to become funny in a little bit. And here's a little bit of a drop going in, though. And he's got those Stalkers in the back in case of a Banshee, but they are actually just there to die. The Banshee comes in as well just to add some extra damage output. And that little drop's going to be able to do lots of damage to the Stalkers. Doesn't even have an observer here. He does not appear to, so this Cloak Banshee's doing tons of damage. The drop is going to get cleaned up by the full army coming in here. No, he does have an observer nearby, or some form of detection does take out that... Oh, there's the observer. Right in the middle of everything. And was not able to do too much damage with the Banshee itself, but a pretty good amount of damage, actually, in that whole scenario. And here's the other Banshee coming in the back, though. There's another observer there. He's got 3 observers on the map. 1 in the front of SuperNova's base, and 1 in the back of his base, 1 in the front of his base. There we go. Is he going to lose that Banshee? Just barely. Well, not barely, but gets away with about a third of its health. A little over a third. The observer going over here and scoping it out just so he knows exactly where it is. The tech lab has been abandoned, and the starport has been floated back to the main base. Now has a reactor on it. It's going to be starting to produce medevacs. And he's getting concussive shells. Nice upgrades here. But 2-2 is on the way for Vines, actually. Although, is it going to be in time? SuperNova does have 0-1, so he's a little bit behind in the upgrades. But if you just look at the Army tab, if I can find the Army tab. Oh, that's not the Army tab. There we go. His Army supply is a lot bigger, by about 10 supply. That's in addition to having more workers. So he is definitely doing extremely well at this point. And SuperNova just hunting around with his units, sharking around, as Greytorp would say. And this is interesting. It's kind of cool. He actually has this tech lab over here. It actually still is going to spot things. If well, I'm not sure exactly what Vines would do. Maybe he's not really likely to run out with a warp prism or anything like that. But he can kind of spot if Vines takes this expansion. And this factory's over here. It's going to be able to spot if he takes this expansion as well, although it's actually not quite within range. But when the probes arrive, he'll know it, and he'll be able to drop if he wants to. Coming in with a decent-sized force here, though. He needs to be careful his medevacs don't get too far ahead of him. And there is 2 observers chasing this. He actually might just want those observers to die. Yeah, he almost... Yeah, loses both observers. That's what you get when you tag both observers on your opponent's army. And he's going in with a Banshee at the same time, now that the army is drawn to the front, but he has left a few Stalkers and an observer in the back there. So that's going to be dealt with very, very easily. So, nicely dealt with by Vines, but again, he's just getting out-macroed at this point. SuperNova's supply lead rising to 40 now, over 40. Colossus on the way, as well as the extended thermal lance. So, Vines is going to be in good shape. He's already researched Blink. I believe, yes, he's researched Charge as well. So he's got really good sort of support upgrades for those units. Starting to get level 2 armor. Wait. Okay, for some reason the hover over isn't working here, but I believe that I thought he was getting 2-2 at the same time earlier. I'm not sure exactly what happened there, or if this is level 3. My apologies for not knowing. I'm pretty sure blue is level 2, but I could be wrong. Anyway, SuperNova is going to go ahead and knock down these rocks. He's got a couple ghosts in here. Oh, force field's going down to stop that army from getting in. A little bit of posturing here. Vines needs to protect this third base. If he does not protect that third base, it is brand new bright and shiny, and SuperNova has his crowbar out. He's going to try and wreck the windshield, and he is going to go to work on it. Indeed, he is smashing that Nexus. Vine's trying to come in here to save it. The Colossus finally arrives, and he has got a couple Guardian Shields down despite the EMPs. Is he going to have enough damage output? The Zealots charging in are going to save the day, and SuperNova is forced back from this engagement. He has saved his medevac, though. He's got a nice, good army rebuilt up at his front, at his rally point there, and he's probably going to go back in again, but again, he did kill the Nexus. So good defense by Vines, but not quite enough. Got the Nexus and got out of there. So Vines is so far behind now at this point. It is ridiculous. He is now 60 supply behind. He is now way behind in the income. He has, look at that, half the income that SuperNova has, because SuperNova has, of course, an extra base, and of course he's got these little puppies right here, the mules. Lots of Marauders here mixed into his army now, which is going to be pretty effective against this Colossus army that's going to be, he's going to have to deal with. The Marauders can soak up damage fairly well and almost pretty much go toe-to-toe. Even if there's Colossus behind, they don't even need the Vikings sometimes, because they can just soak up so much damage and still keep going. And of course, if you can catch a good break, you can kind of stim in and pick off Colossus very quickly with more stim Marauders as well. So anyway, he's looking really, really good. SuperNova 185 supply to OGS Vines' 113, and this is really not looking good at all for... Oh, that's how I can check the upgrades. So it is 3-3, okay. On every other race, the red indicates +3. I guess blue is +3 for Protoss. I'm not sure why I didn't remember that. But, oh, it's blinking in there, trying to pick off a Viking. Not going to happen, though. Those Vikings are, like I said, they're... Well, he's got a lot of Marauders, so they're not super, super important that he has a ton of them. But it is going to be extremely helpful to have a good Viking count. He's producing 3 more Vikings as well. He doesn't even have to attack right now. He knows it. He scans. He sees this Nexus is just finishing. And that is his time to go in and try and kill it off again. And he says, your insurance policy paid for a new one, but I'm going to try and shut it down as well. The Zealots are charging in. Colossus going down so quickly. The Stalkers are targeting down the Vikings. Very, very well played by Vines, but the Marauders toasting every single one, and GG coming from Vines. OGS SuperNova with the early lead from the Banshee Harass is going to take game number 1 in this best-of-3 series. Alright, and so we're going to get into game number 2 here before too long. And I can't say that result is terribly surprising, to be honest with you. I mean, SuperNova, he's been in Code S. He's did really well in Code A previously. He has been playing very, very strongly lately. And Vines, on the other hand, just hasn't really shown us anything. He's managed to qualify for Code A this season, of course. But previous to that, he just hasn't done anything. I mentioned before that he lost to Sen in GSL Open Season 3, which was a long time ago. And that is pretty much all he's done. He's played in some other tournaments. He played in an Asia Champions Trophy, lost every game. He played in the ESV Korean Weekly. He did manage to beat Guinea Pig in a best-of-3 series there, but also lost to Lots and to Fake. So he basically just has very few wins on record. Anyway, we're going to get started with game number 2, SuperNova versus Vines. Can Vines show his stuff, or will SuperNova, the Code S Terran, shut him down? We're going to find out right now.